Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to do this pretty simple recipe. You're going to have quite a bit of ingredients, but they're all kind of light ingredients. I wouldn't say fresh, but I would say light in the fact that you can have this during any kind of get together. But also, you know, in the summer here in the South, we like to do more lighter versions of food because it's just so hot. So we'll have like salads more, sandwiches more, stuff like that, instead of the real heavy foods. So this would be kind of like one of those foods that you would try to do, or type of recipe that you would try to do during that time. And so you may notice starting in May that I'm going to start doing a lot more videos with sandwiches, salads, stuff like that. Not all of them, but just a few we'll throw in there. So the name of this recipe is called an Italian sub chop sandwich, and basically what it is salad on a roll, basically. So I decided this would probably be a good thing for us to do on this channel, just because it takes some, you know, a bunch of little ingredients and makes something that would be delicious and different. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to get a cup of mayonnaise and put in a bowl, and you're going to mix, because this is going to be like your dressing. You need to mix with it some Italian dressing, and you're going to need about 3 tablespoons of that. So this recipe calls for something called Salad Supreme Seasoning. And I went online and found a recipe to make my own because I could not find it. The only thing this is missing is the poppy seeds, because I don't have those. And you just need about a tablespoon of this. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And that's it for your dressing. So there's your dressing. It's all ready. So we're going to set it aside. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix all of our vegetables together. So this is romaine lettuce. You can use iceberg. The author of the recipe said to use iceberg, but we never do. We always use romaine hearts. So I tried to slice them really, really thin. We're going to go with it. We're going to see how it goes. You need at least 2 cups of this. You need red onion chopped small, and some of the yellow banana peppers. So I just put all that in there together. Some tomatoes. You can use cherry tomatoes, but I used what I had on hand. And we need to mix all that together.
Let's be honest, sounds like home. Still I'm here alone and I'm calling your phone. I wish I could wipe my own.
Alright, so for the meats. Recipe calls for hard salami. I just got the regular lunch meat salami, but you can most definitely get the hard salami if that's something that you can find in your area. You're going to need about ½ pound of that, and I took my favorite ham, Black Forest ham, and chopped it up, and it's also deli meat or lunch meat, and use that. So you're supposed to use ½ pound of salami and ½ pound of ham, ½ pound of mozzarella. So I got all that, and ½ pound of Munster cheese. I could only find it in slices, but I went ahead and got it anyway because it's one of my favorites, and I just tried to chop it as small as I could. So you take this and kind of mix it all together.
Don't you give me that look, take a bow, already know. Now you gotta go.
Okay, the only thing left to do is pour this dressing over. I'll be sure to leave a link below with the Salad Supreme Copycat seasoning mix in case you can't find it at your store, at your grocery store either. I did change a few things on there, and I'll try to note that. I'm going to use these rolls. Let's see if you get, well, let me try to get them out of the package. I'm going to use these rolls here, and we're going to see how it tastes. All right, let me plate it up for you. Okay, y'all, so this is the finished product. I sliced my roll almost completely through, tried to leave like a little pocket in there for it. It is going to be a messy sandwich, but it seems like it's going to be a perfect fit for tonight. Like I said, also don't forget you can use the salad without the bread. You don't have to do that, and you can do any type of rolls or bread that you want to use. Tonight I'm going to show you how to make mayonnaise rolls. I've made this a million times for my family. It's a really good cheap roll to make. That way if you want some bread with your dinner but you don't have the money to go and buy the ingredients for rolls or buy pre-made rolls, you can make this and it'll work out just fine. So you're going to need to preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and you're going to need 1.5 cups of self-rising flour. I've whisked it, that way I could get some of the lumps out of it. And you're going to need a cup of milk, 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, not salad dressing or Miracle Whip, just plain old mayonnaise. Just stir it all together.
Undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. Hand in hand, building castles out of sand.
We use a muffin tin for this, and you're just gonna fill this up about 2/3 of the way full, just like you would muffins.
Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes. Undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. A bigger scale, the world inhales.
Alright, you're going to put it in a 400 degree oven for 15 to 18 minutes until you can poke in a toothpick and it comes out clean. Okay, y'all, this is the finished product. These are the only ones I had left because everybody ate them all. They're really good, and they're a really simple roll. And it just takes a couple of staples, and you got it. 3 ingredients: mayonnaise, flour, milk, and that's it. You can make them. You can make it in a loaf pan, or you can make it in any shape that you'd like. We normally do it in a muffin tin. That way it's like little rolls. Perfect dinner roll. We are going to make cheesy smash burger and potato skillet. And the first thing you need to do is take about 45 medium-sized potatoes, peel them, chop them. I just did a rough chop. Just kind of pay attention to how thick you are cutting them, because you're going to stick them in the air fryer and you want to make sure that they get done. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to drizzle some olive oil on them. You can use any type of oil. We just need something to make the seasoning stick to it. Okay? Now, in a bowl, you can mix these seasonings together, but I'm just going to eyeball it and just try to toss it all together, and then we're going to stick it in the air fryer, and I'll explain that in just a second. So you're going to need some garlic powder, and I'm going to be a little bit generous with this. And you may need to just kind of like sprinkle, then stir to make sure that it gets good and coated. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is some paprika. And this is just regular paprika. I think you can get a more smokier one. So whichever one you have on hand is good enough. Okay, just make sure you stir it really good. Okay, and generous amounts of pepper. And some salt. And you know potatoes, we use light salt here, but you can use any type of salt. Potatoes seem to need a lot of salt, and this is probably still going to need even more salt even after. So I did add some. Stir it up. Okay, now you want to put this in your air fryer, 400 degrees, 20 minutes, and make sure every 5 minutes or so you shake it. So I'm going to preheat my air fryer now and go ahead and start doing these in batches. Just before we step over to the stove top, we're going to go ahead and make our burger sauce. And I'm just going to try to eyeball most of these measurements. The measurements will be down below, so you can always check that out if you need to. I didn't want to make too much of this because I don't even know if my family likes it, and then they may not like the burger sauce, and then what am I going to do with it? So just going to kind of wing it. Okay, so you're going to need some ketchup. You're going to need some mayo, some mustard, and the recipe calls for sweet relish. We do not use sweet relish, we use dill. So you're making a burger sauce basically, and you can use any type mustard, ketchup, mayo, or relish that you would like. I'm just using what I have on hand. Okay, and then we're going to make this. We're going to set it aside, and now we're going over to the stovetop to work on that. I was supposed to form about 4 patties out of the meat, but I was able to get more. Maybe I didn't have quite a pound. I probably had maybe more than that. And these are definitely going to shrink. So just keep that in mind. So while our potatoes are over here cooking in the air fryer, we're going to go ahead and start working on this. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to season with this seasoning. I don't know if you can see it. It's Weber Gourmet Burger Seasoning. I tried to find the caramelized onion burger seasoning that was talked about in the recipe. I could not find it. We have one Walmart here, and the Weber stuff we see more of than the Kinder. I do have some Kinder seasonings, but they don't carry a lot of the ones that a lot of these recipes call for, which I hate that. But so I tried to find equivalent. So we're going to go ahead and season the burgers, and then we're going to start cooking these. And that's what you need to do. You need to make sure that when it's time to flip that you go ahead and season the other side. I'm going to put this on like medium-high heat, and we're going to cook them until they're done. And then I'll come right back and we'll talk about the rest of the recipe. Okay, y'all, so potatoes are done. I've got those set aside. Burgers are done. You see they shrank just like I said they would. Let me get a better spatula. Alright, so I drained the grease off, and so now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to chop these up. I buy these cheap skillets from Walmart, and so because I really like using metal utensils, and a lot of people, you know, they have a problem with that where you're really scratching that Teflon up. Well, this Teflon, I don't even know that it's really real Teflon, you know. So I'm just like, I can just throw the skillet out my nose. It's a really cheap skillet. And I have a house full of kids, well, 3 boys, still at home. So, you know, if they damage it, it's not that big a deal. I'll just go buy another $10 skillet. A lot of people cringe when they see me using these metal utensils, but I just like them better than the plastic. I feel like they're more sturdy. And that's why I use them. Alright, so now everything's chopped up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add the potatoes back. This is what they look like out of the air fryer. And I'm just going to kind of stir them up a little bit. Because everything's cooked. All we're fixing to do is melt some cheese on top. And that's it. Well, we have a few things, but the main thing is we're just gonna put cheese on top of this. Okay. Let me get a little bit over here on this side. All right, now, so kind of level it all back out. And the recipe says use a cup of cheddar. Since I've got a little bit more meat than called for, I'm gonna put a little bit more than a cup. Now what you need to do is you're gonna, I've got this skillet on low, and I'm just gonna cover it, and I'm just gonna let the cheese melt as it's sitting here. I'm not gonna walk away because it could burn. But you can either do this or you can broil it in the oven for a few minutes. Just all you want to do is melt the cheese, and then we have one more thing to do at the end. So I ended up having to just go ahead and put this in the broiler, but as you can see, it melted nicely. Just don't forget that it's in there, because I have done that a million times and burnt everything. So your next step is to top with the sauce that we made in the beginning. So you're just going to kind of drizzle it. And I chopped up some green onions to sprinkle on top, so we got the onion part covered. It was a pretty simple recipe, and definitely one that you know, we could do anytime. You don't necessarily need an air fryer. You can if you want to follow the recipe to a T, but I think, you know, it's kind of a way of making it a roasted potato, but very dry and crispy, if that makes sense. If you fry it just in the skillet, it's going to be really wet from the grease that you're going to have to use. So the air fryer is a way of making it more dry. But they did get done with the 20 minutes in the air fryer at 400 degrees, and it seemed like a pretty good dump and go type recipe. It will probably take you a little bit longer than a half an hour to make, but I don't see any problems. I think even the most basic cook could do it. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all next time.